So I have the jack stand underneath the engine, pressed right up against the oil pan. There's not a lot of weight on that jack because there's other motor mounts that are holding up the majority of the engine. I just have the mount that we're working with is the one right down in there. And so we want to support the engine just enough so when we take that jack off, the engine doesn't move up or down. And also, the jack underneath the engine will help us adjust it ever so slightly to line the hole through the center of the motor mount back up into place again when we're trying to put that big bolt through it. So right there, you can see that my ratchet is on one side of that, and then I have this huge old extender bar that has given me all the leverage I need as it sits on the end of that ratchet. So I can just click this back and forth without having to have my hand down in there in that cramped little space. Works out pretty well. Cool thing is that this sits on that side of the motor mount right down in there, and it's got this little tab that slides down into a metal bracket, so you actually don't even need to hold a wrench on this end. The only thing you need to be ratcheting is just this side over here on the open side, on the right side. There you go. Now you can see why this one's broken. Now what the motor mount does is it's rubber inside of there on the mount, so it kind of holds the engine in place like it's the engine mount, but it also keeps the vibrations from shaking the car. And so if your mount's broken, obviously it's going to put more stress on the other mounts, which shakes your car more, damaging more things. So I have the new motor mount here. I'm just going to show you, as I took the bolts off the old one, I just put into the new one. So these two bolts right here are 17 millimeter. Both of these are 17 millimeter. Just remember you need a ratchet from the right side as it's mounted up inside of onto the engine, just like that. And then this top one in the corner is actually a 14 millimeter. And that's the longest bolt. So now I'm gonna set it back into place, and you can see down in there that there's actually nothing supporting the engine onto the frame right now. It's just that jack that I put underneath the engine. The jack's not holding very much weight, but it keeps the engine from sinking and getting out of alignment with those two little brackets, the holes down there at the bottom. So now I'm going to toss the new engine mount back into place. Got all the bolts back into place. They were really hard to line up. I don't know if it was just the temperature difference between the three different metals, but what I ended up doing is putting the bolt in and then threading it in a little bit, just like probably 4 or 5 full turns on each of the bolts, so that the mount was still loose against the engine. And then after those 3 bolts were in around the edge, I tightened them in all the way, and then I put the center bolt through the eye of the engine mount, and that's what worked out best for me. But lining everything up was the hardest part of the whole operation. I'll link the part in the video description below. I got mine off of Amazon. Amazon is usually pretty cheap, so check the video description below for that. Anyway, if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like if this video helped you, and don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot. Thanks for watching.